I remember vividly seeing that black Toyota on the back of the ramp truck for the first time. And I, like many people, fell in love with that truck. I mean, when Marty said, check out that 4x4, I mean, that was it back then. That was what everybody wanted, was that truck.
Most people who watched Back to the Future remember the stainless steel DeLorean that became one of the most recognizable cars in cinema history. But for many fans, there was another vehicle that left an equally lasting impression despite appearing for only a few minutes. It was the jet black 1985 Toyota SR5 pickup that Marty McFly spent the entire film dreaming about. Yet the truck's greatest story began after the cameras stopped rolling. One disappeared forever after being given away in a promotional contest, while the others survived years of obscurity before an unlikely rediscovery brought it back to fans. Join us as we uncover what really happened to Marty McFly's Toyota SR5.
How about a ride, mister?
The origins of Back to the Future can be traced to a family visit in 1980. Screenwriter Bob Gale was looking through his father's old high school yearbook when he found himself wondering whether the two of them would have been friends if they had attended school together. That simple question became the foundation of a screenplay that blended science fiction, comedy, and family drama into a story unlike anything Hollywood had produced before. Gale developed the script with director Robert Zemeckis, but finding a studio willing to finance it proved far more difficult than writing it. However, everything changed after Zemeckis directed Romancing the Stone in 1984. The film's commercial success gave him the momentum he needed, and with the support of Steven Spielberg's Amblin Entertainment, Back to the Future finally entered production. Even then, the filmmakers faced another major challenge. Michael J. Fox had always been their first choice to play Marty McFly, but his commitment to the hit television series Family Ties initially made him unavailable. Eric Stoltz was cast instead, and filming began in November 1984. After several weeks, however, it became clear that his interpretation of Marty did not match the tone Zemeckis envisioned. Universal Pictures made the difficult decision to replace him, discard weeks of completed footage, and begin production again with Fox in the leading role. Although the decision added about $4 million to the budget, it ultimately transformed the film. When Back to the Future premiered on July 3, 1985, the decision had been fully justified. Produced for approximately $19 million following the extensive reshoots, the film became the highest-grossing release of the year, earning nearly $390 million worldwide and establishing itself as one of the defining science fiction films of the 20th century. Decades later, it remains one of Hollywood's most enduring classics, remembered not only for its unforgettable characters and imaginative storytelling, but also for two Toyota trucks that would become icons in very different ways. For most of the film, Marty McFly never actually drove the black Toyota pickup he wanted so badly. Instead, it remained out of reach, sitting outside Statler Toyota as a constant reminder of the future he hoped to build for himself. It was the first thing that caught his attention whenever he passed the dealership, and Jennifer Parker knew exactly how much it meant to him. By the time Marty returned from 1955, that dream had become reality. Among the many changes waiting for him at home was the black Toyota pickup, sitting proudly in the driveway, confirming that his life had taken a completely different path. The pickup appeared on screen for only a few minutes throughout the entire film, yet those moments proved to be more than enough. For countless viewers who grew up during the 1980s, Marty's Toyota became just as desirable as the DeLorean itself, and decades later, many still consider it one of the coolest pickup trucks ever featured in a Hollywood film. Meanwhile, choosing the right truck for Marty McFly in the film involved far more than selecting a brand new car from a dealership lot. Throughout Back to the Future, the Toyota represented the future Marty hoped to build for himself, so it needed to look like the kind of vehicle a teenager in Southern California would genuinely aspire to own in 1985. Toyota's SR5 pickup fit that role perfectly. It had already earned a reputation for reliability and off-road capability, while its sporty SR5 trim made it increasingly popular with younger buyers looking for something that felt adventurous. The truck's appeal, however, extended far beyond its role in the film. Long before collectors began searching for surviving examples, the 1985 Toyota SR5 Extra Cab had already secured a unique place in Toyota's history. During that model year, Toyota briefly combined its rugged solid front axle with the newly introduced fuel-injected 22 RE 2.4-liter four-cylinder engine, creating a combination it would never offer again. Earlier models paired the solid axle with carbureted engines, while later trucks adopted electronic fuel injection alongside an independent front suspension. That one-year configuration would eventually make the 1985 SR5 one of the most sought-after Toyota pickups ever built, giving collectors an entirely different reason to value the same truck that Marty McFly had made famous on screen. To prepare the truck for filming, Universal Studios leased it from a private owner and equipped it with accessories that reflected the off-road styling trends of the mid-1980s. Tubular Smitty-built bumpers replaced the factory units, while a custom roll bar fitted with 4 KC daylighter auxiliary lights, protected by their distinctive yellow covers, gave the pickup its unmistakable appearance. Black modular steel wheels wrapped in Goodyear Wrangler tires completed the exterior, while tinted windows, air conditioning, and a cassette stereo reinforced its image as a well-equipped SR5 rather than a heavily modified movie prop. Like many movie vehicles built for the screen, Marty's Toyota was represented by 2 virtually identical trucks during production. Although they looked quite similar, each played a different role across the trilogy, and that distinction would later become crucial in tracing their histories. The first truck appeared primarily in the original Back to the Future. It was the pickup audience saw outside Statler Toyota and later parked in the McFly family's driveway after Marty returned from 1955. It featured a single-hoop roll bar, a tonneau cover over the bed, tinted windows, and factory SR5 embroidered seats, details that distinguished it from the second truck used later in the series. When production began on Back to the Future Part 2 and Part 3, the filmmakers relied on a second 1985 Toyota SR5 that closely matched the original but incorporated a revised dual-hoop roll bar along with several smaller differences. Those changes were subtle enough that few viewers noticed them, yet they would eventually become some of the most important clues in identifying the surviving screen-used truck decades after filming had ended. At the time, however, neither truck was considered anything more than a production vehicle. No one involved could have predicted that one would disappear forever while the other would survive one of the most extraordinary journeys in movie car history. Unlike many famous movie vehicles that are carefully preserved after filming, the original Back to the Future Toyota followed a surprising path once production wrapped. Universal Studios partnered with the California Raisins promotional campaign and offered the truck as the grand prize in a public giveaway. One lucky winner drove away with what was, at the time, simply a nearly new Toyota pickup that happened to appear in a successful film. Its story ended much sooner than anyone expected. Sometime after the raffle, the truck was involved in a serious accident that reportedly damaged it beyond repair. Although the exact circumstances have never been fully documented, the outcome has remained consistent across every credible account. The original truck from the first Back to the Future no longer exists, leaving the second production vehicle as the only known survivor from the trilogy. After production on Back to the Future Part 2 and Part 3 concluded, the second Toyota was returned to the private owner who had originally leased it to Universal Studios. Rather than being preserved as a movie prop, it continued life as an everyday pickup, accumulating miles and gradually losing the appearance audiences remembered from the screen. After the original owner passed away, the truck was sold to a new owner who also used it as a daily driver, gradually modifying it as the years went by. Somewhere along that chain of ownership, the truck entered the most unexpected chapter of its history. Before it was sold in 2012, it reportedly fell into the hands of an illicit substance smuggler operating across the American Southwest. By then, one of the most recognizable pickup trucks in movie history was being used to transport illicit merchandise, although there is no indication that its owner knew or particularly cared about its Hollywood past. The operation eventually came to an end when law enforcement seized the truck. It was later flagged in official records before eventually making its way to a California cellar, where its remarkable journey toward rediscovery finally began. In 2012, the Shea family of Hubbardston, Massachusetts, purchased the truck from that California cellar and set out to return it to its original screen appearance. To carry out the work, they partnered with Greg's Toyota Restorations, a shop that had built a reputation for restoring Back to the Future Toyota pickups with painstaking attention to authenticity. As the restoration progressed, the truck gradually revealed pieces of its past. Beneath a Denver Broncos repaint, the team uncovered the original factory black finish, while studio inventory tags remained attached to several components after decades of use. Even the seat rails still carried the adjustment marks left by Michael J. Fox during filming. The cargo bed required extensive repairs after years of damage. The original seats were rebuilt using custom upholstery because reproduction covers no longer existed, while the truck's original KC daylighter spotlights were carefully restored rather than replaced. Every stage of the process was documented in a 30-minute YouTube video, giving fans an unusually detailed look at how one of Hollywood's most famous pickups returned to the condition in which audiences first saw it. Once the restoration was complete, the Shea family made it clear that the truck would not disappear into a private collection. They believed it belonged with the fans who had kept its memory alive for decades, even turning down a reported offer of around $250,000. Since then, the truck has appeared at automotive exhibitions, charity events, and Back to the Future celebrations across the United States, giving fans the rare opportunity to see one of the trilogy's original screen-used vehicles up close. More than 40 years after Back to the Future premiered, the black 1985 Toyota SR5 continues to represent far more than Marty's dream truck. It stands as one of the most recognizable movie pickups ever to appear on screen, with a story that proved to be every bit as remarkable as the film itself.